I would like to call our next speaker, Dr. Padmakali Banerjee. Padmakali Banerjee is a Vice Chancellor at IILM University. She is also author of a book, a very well-renowned book, which is named as The Power of Positivity and Optimism. There's another one which is on Seventh Sense. She's doctorate from University of Delhi. She's a fellow of Somatic Inkblot Society, USA. She's also a fellow of Royal Society of Art, London. She was appointed as WELL, Well Mind Advisor by International Well Building Institute, PBC, New York, in 2023 as well. Dr. Padmakali, we welcome you all. We would like to listen more from you. We've heard that you have been talking a lot about the EQ part. This is, I think, my first opportunity to hear you on that front. So over to you, ma'am. I would like you to share your screen and maybe I'll stop sharing from here.
Right. First of all, my heartiest compliments to Dr. Sunil and all the, distinguished people who have thought of bringing together. I have, Dr. Sunil, I have changed that word from IACT to IACT because that's so pertinent. I think everybody's, yeah. So I thought it's a historical day on the World Hypnosis Day, and this Indian chapter is starting. So I think I'm quite thrilled. Just to give a little bit of context, many of the people who are here, a couple of you I know, but most of you we have not met. So a little bit of background, I think. So what I was sharing is that my passion for healing was there from very big. I remember starting my journey with Chakshudam Samiti, where we looked at people for eradicating of preventable blindness. So I think that kind of passion in me really led me to connect to people from different walks of life. So I do recollect, I think why this is important is because I think collectively we can make a lot of difference, because being in education as an educator, development of curriculum, finding out training modules, what I have realized that if people come together, they are able to really contribute in a better way. So I think with those words, I want to start with a topic which I want to speak today. So Dr. Sunil, once again, I must tell you that I would be happy to collaborate with all of the top people who have come together to make IACT possible. So I think I will also try to take a few actions, both at the level of institutions, because now the national education policy has also opened up, and higher learning institutions are adding a lot of in the Indian knowledge system have come in a big way. So a lot of people have now looked at how the new systems and different healing practices can also be brought in. So if you look at the typical programs like through Rehabilitation Council of India or even other programs which are being now developed at the institutional level, people are looking at the holistic health and healing. So with those words, I have kept a little presentation ready. I want to take you through a different journey right now. So I hope you can see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, primarily what I thought of taking you through today is a little bit of a reflection, because most of the people who are here, all of you are quite aware of what we are talking about when we talk about healing. So I thought of taking you through the journey of our own life. So I think I very strongly believe in the kind of questions that Socrates asked, that know thyself. I think any problem or any suffering starts from where people can reflect on knowing oneself is one very beautiful way of understanding life. And I was also very intrigued by, reading works of Viktor Frankl, where he's talked about, of course, the concept of finding meaning of life is all about, finding the way for life, being successful. So I think one of the concepts and therapies which became very popular was logotherapy, given by Viktor Frankl. So I think I do feel that it is important to understand, especially as healers, we need to understand ourselves before we start healing others. So I think be it a psychologist or a person who is a therapist or a hypnotherapist, that is the very first step. So now this is an interesting picture that I'm showing. I don't know why I'm showing it. I thought I'll let you know that this is a gentleman called Govan Brown. He was a former New York bus driver. So what is he doing there in my presentation? You'll be surprised to know that here is a person who had a very strong sense of servant leadership, that he wanted to serve people. So in the very busy streets of Manhattan, where people will hop in and hop out of the bus, people he would talk to people. There were strangers around him. There were people who had problems in life. So by the time when they boarded the bus, they must be worried about something, but through the small conversations he made a difference in the lives of people. So very interestingly, it was covered in the New York Times that after spreading 20 years of spreading cheer, a bus driver retires. So in many ways, he has touched lives. So just to take that metaphorically, I think every healer in a sense has to touch lives. Now, the whole idea of all of this, like I gave you an example of learned optimism we were talking about. So I was doing a lot of work on leaders. So while I was working on leadership models, conflict resolution, I found out that one of the very single abstract concepts that is bringing people together is a kind of an attitude which you see in the harbingers of optimism who are being very successful in life. And after a lot of research and after doing a patent and creating a trademark, I developed this whole concept of 7 Sense, which is nothing but your optimistic intelligence. So I think this is something which is very interestingly brought about in the form of a therapy which talked about optimism attitude model. So people, in order to change how people behave, in order to do cognitive priming, apart from the cognitive behavior therapy, which was very popular, the concept of optimism attitude model was brought in. And many of my research scholars from different institutions, including Delhi University, IITs, and internationally, have started using the model. And we have found a lot of impact in how you can improve life. In this particular book that very kindly was mentioned, I've also talked about the whole area of, meditation through mindfulness and walk, and that we had used the concept of labyrinth walk and for mindfulness meditation. So I think this became a very serious work that for the last almost 20 years that I have been dedicatedly working on. So I've talked about how 7 Sense can be intertwined by the hypnosis. So we have brought in these two things together. And to do that, I must put on record that while I am a trained psychologist and did a doctorate program and MPhil from University of Delhi, during the COVID times, I spoke to a friend, Dr. Sunil, and I also underwent the training for hypnotherapy because I really wanted to see how I can bring these two concepts together. So I want to happily say that in the last couple of years, a lot of literature has been developed by use of 7 Sense in meditation as well as in hypnotherapy. And one of my books will be very soon, in the couple of months, would be published, which is completely dedicated on well-being, where I have also added a new tool on for measurement of well-being. Because I think if you see the earlier tools, which was developed many years back, by that time, I think world has moved very fast. Things have changed. So that has been also brought in. So coming back to this concept, 7 Sense acts as a virtual lighthouse of energy. So basically, every individual has an optimistic intelligence in them. So if a person who is a sufferer is able to very well handle, and they are able to discover their positive emotions, their meaningfulness that they're doing at their work or in their life, or the sense of small accomplishments that they achieve, they're able to develop a good relationship network. These people are also able to heal very fast. Then moving ahead, this I will not spend too much time because I know there are many more speakers, but at the same time, I just wanted to highlight, in the book, I have of course dealt with some of the harbingers of optimism from different walks of life. Whether it is Gautam Buddha was the immortal spirit. So when one of the things that he very prominently talked about is that when you are positive, you stand tall over all your doubts and insecurities. That is the lesson we got from great Buddha. So like that, there are several, harbingers of optimism, and you can connect, you can actually look at, and just like Steve Jobs said, you can connect the dots when you look back. You will see when you look back in the lives of each of them, they have touched life in their own ways. If you look at whether it was Swami Vivekananda or Mahatma Gandhi or Mother Teresa or the Tagore, the philosopher, all of them have practiced, and they have definitely been the harbingers of optimism and the seventh sense. Some of the other international ones, as of course Steve Jobs, Stephen Hawking, in spite of having so much of disability, I think it's a remarkable example. So when we do cognitive priming, it is very important to let people understand the lives of people around them. So I think studying more than 100 top leaders in the world and trying to understand the psychological attributes, a lot of literature has been developed in this particular area. Now, this whole, so one is this OQ, which is optimistic intelligence. The other is, of course, emotional intelligence. Very few people talk about Peter Salovey and John Mayer, his student, who had actually written a great article. And then the New York Times journalist, Daniel Goleman, made it very popular after, he read this article and he started researching. And of course, a very great book has been developed after that. And all of you know about emotional intelligence. So I think one particular graph I just wanted to show all of you, because people are there from the similar areas, may be interested. So one of the things that in an interesting project that I'm currently working with the Indian Navy is that we are working for developing emotionally resilient warriors. If you look at healing, I think all of these services. So I have been dealing with people above the threshold. By that, I mean that there are one population which are going or having maybe neurotic and psychotic disorders, but there are many above the threshold who are needing the same kind of attention. So which was more, I think, popularized by Seligman by giving the term positive psychology, but I say a holistic psychology, because I think every individual in their lifespan are posed with a lot of questions. So I think looking at the emotional intelligence, I think this whole area of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management leads people to be successful as well. So I think when I look at youth facing challenges in their early life, it is not just to do with the circumstantial issues, but a lot has to do with thyself and understanding of self. So I think a lot of emphasis, it will be very interesting if people are able to spend some time. And people in the group who are interested in logotherapy, I would also be interested, and any of you are more than welcome to even associate, because I believe in bringing these matters into research articles. So a lot of good literature can be published, and especially in India, we can put together some of this which can go into the journal. I'm also an editor-in-chief of the journal of the projective techniques, so where we are also looking at healing. So I think a lot of good articles can be also looked at. So I would, through this forum, also let you know, in case there is interest, good researchers can also contribute in the allied areas as well. Then another last point I thought of leaving you with is where, of course, Daniel Goleman, all of you I've just spoken about, and he's talked about that brain's design emerges as a key to emotion. So I think how can we work on it? So on that context, I wanted to leave you with this concept of the ripple effect, that if we are healers, so people around them will behave in the way that we are behaving. So having a lot of, I strongly believe in self-management, and I strongly believe that of healers who are practitioners, they have to constantly work on themselves in order to become a better, they are able to create a better impact on their, whether they are scholars, whether there are their team people who work on it. And that's very well known as the ripple effect. So it is important that we really work on the ripple effect. The emotion is it's something which is very contagious. If you have a very positive outlook and you're able to work on certain areas, or you want to get into very depth areas of the work that you're building on, I think the people in the team also get affected by it. So I think for a healer, that will also become very important. So I think I would also like to say that, since it is a movement, we can be open to ideas, but it will be very good to have certain clusters. Like you form certain clusters so that the knowledge which is being created through these forums can be brought together in the sense that could be a proper contribution and documentation. And where I think in a very big way, propagate the right values in the society. I think a lot of mental health issues that we are seeing today, there is a huge impact on this of the social media, the way the mind-boggling way the technology is moving, and with all of the artificial intelligence, more and more people are suffering. So I think we need to look at a very holistic method. So that way it may be very interesting to put some of the concepts that we discuss in these forums into certain clusters. So that will be very essential. And any of you interested in this particular area, here is my book, which we published in 2018 on the power of positivity. And of course, the most famous book by Daniel Goleman. So here on my book, after I've gone through all the literature and worked on optimism, and of course, I am working more on the attitude aspect. And Daniel Goleman, of course, work has been emotional intelligence, and aspects of emotional intelligence come from your optimistic attitude. And I want to leave you with another very interesting line, which became very popular, which is, every time you're happy, you win. So while we do not say that suffering we cannot end, but it is important, I think, to practice in life. When I say happiness, it is not momentary joy, but a happiness in the very Aristotle's concept of creating a purpose in life, where possibly you can look for it and at the same time finding meaning for yourself. The people say that people who survived in the concentration camps were the people who had a larger meaning in life, who either were surviving for their own family or they had a dying passion to achieve something in life. So I think with those words, I take this opportunity to thank you, because I've had a lovely audience, and I think so much of intellect around, so many people who are leaders on their own right. And thank you very much, Dr. Sunil, and to the worthy team. And thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Padmakali. Thank you so much. Very insightful. It is always insightful. I have read Daniel Goleman's book on emotional intelligence, but it was equally insightful to listen more from you, especially on the seventh sense and the special part when you were mentioning the attitude part. There's a famous quote, and the saying, I would say, the saying in corporate world is hired for aptitude and fired for attitude. So that's how it works sometimes, as in when you grow up in the ladder, it's about the attitude which works more than the knowledge and the experience and the expertise which you're bringing on the table, because you need to work between the teams. There is a lot of collaboration required. So very keen to know more about the work which you're doing. I will definitely read the book for sure, and will share my feedback or whatever, how I've experienced the book with you. On any platform wherever you are available, maybe on LinkedIn or somewhere else. But thank you so much for bringing this all on the table. Yes, please.
Yeah, Ms. Vanitha, just one point I wanted to say, that on that note, in 2018, I have launched a foundation called Triaru Foundation, which is dedicated on, we are doing also a lot of programs for corporates, which is on employee welfare program, as well as working with primarily area of mental health and some training programs. So I think that is something which will be very happy for people who can collaborate, and just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
No, this is very much required in today's world, as you've mentioned clearly, that maybe we have moved far ahead as far as artificial intelligence is there, but the human part of the human, you cannot just delete it, and you cannot maybe mechanically solve it. It is more of emotional thing which needs to be addressed. With that note, thank you so much.